I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilperson Vargas Nedved. Councilperson Buck.
Here.
Councilperson Travis. Here. Councilperson Lamb.
Here.
Supervisor Levinson.
Here. So first, up will move to approve the meeting minutes of July 11th and July 18th.
Second that. Councilperson Vargas Nedved.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. What?
Wasn't quick enough.
I was just writing something down. I could have said no.
Yeah.
I could, I just don't have a reason to.
That's a way to get attention.
Yeah. So first up, we have a public hearing. It's on 5 and 9 Freeze Road. It's a multifamily housing, special use permit. This is also still being, I guess, planning board still has to do the seeker on this. So we're gonna open a public hearing tonight, take comment, but it's gonna remain open till September 12th when we, so it's still be able to comment even on the 12th. So I guess tonight will mostly be just taking we'll really just be taking public comment and I guess Dave, you're here?
You want to see?
Yeah, that's what we can get the sheet. And I know some people online too.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'm David Weinstein, 51 Freeze Road. As I indicated in a letter I sent to you and the planning board on June 5th, I understand the need for affordable housing and I really do support it, but it should be done in smaller developments. This development is just too big with too many apartments. The Varna plan envisioned smaller developments of like 20 apartments or so instead of the 53 that's indicated here. Now, INHS has told me that they could not secure the necessary funding for an affordable housing development and for operating it unless it contained at least 50 units. But I know they believe this, but I haven't seen any documents that confirm that this is an actual fact, and so we should be asking them to provide this kind of documentation. It also includes documenting why a 3-story building is necessary, even though it doesn't fit with the character of the surrounding community. The building is actually 4 stories looking from my side and from the side of the people coming across the bridge going south. It includes a square footage building of 11,000 square feet, which is over twice as large as was envisioned in the normal goal in the town zoning of about 5,000 square feet. The board's ability to grant a special permit for that was really never envisioned as blowing away the square footage goals that were sought. Now, can INHS maintain a general level of safety within and around the development? Well, INHS promises to have a supervisor on site to make sure that any problems that develop, they would deal with immediately. But we need a written commitment to this promise and for them to identify the strict procedures that they will follow to fix a development or to respond to neighbors' complaints. Number 3 is that there always is a concern with potential impacts to Fall Creek, with its banks only 100 feet away from this development. And Cornell's intake for their water supply only 1 mile downstream. We've already had to deal with partying and trash near the creek on my property. and plenty of noise. The creek remains vulnerable to this kind of abuse. That can come from a dense population living right next to the creek. There's also been a longstanding concern, which I know some of you on the board remember, about whether the town will have to pay extra for an overcapacity sewage volume being sent to the Ithaca wastewater treatment plant. There's been a lot of new housing in Varna since this concern was brought to the table first. And it makes it likely that this allocation that Dryden currently has could easily be exceeded. There's no written confirmation in any of the documentation of how close we might be to exceeding the allocation that's been provided, and it could cost the town money if we exceed it. At the planning board meeting last month, assurances were made to buffer the noise of the air source heat pump units that are going to be on the roof. That's great. To lower the height of the lights that are going to be around the parking lot, and to provide a visual buffer of some kind of hedge or something to lessen the impact of the lights to the neighbors that are right across Freeze Road. Among others, of course, anybody driving by. I don't see any documents that confirm that INHS is making these commitments. So enforceable written commitments that make sure the development is a positive addition to Varna and not a negative one, not a source of potential problems. Those written commitments are needed, including the size justification, the on-site project manager, and procedures for eliminating problems. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Dave. Is there anybody else who's here who in the room who wanted to make a comment on this?
Chief Jager of the Varna Volunteer Fire Company. I hadn't planned on making a formal statement, but just to catch the board up, I have been working with the planning board and the developers to come up with some compromises as far as fire access for the apparatus. Those conversations have been productive. Figured I might, especially while we're discussing this 3/4-story building, take the opportunity to let the board know that by having this structure in our district, it is now changing the makeup of our responsibilities, especially our firefighter safety. So we are going to have to invest in something called a bailout kit. So this is like an emergency escape system where a firefighter, if they're above 2 stories, they can anchor into the wall and jump out the window like a rappelling person for emergency escape. Because of the way this building is designed, we will have aerial access, so the ladder truck on front of the building, but there will be no ladder truck access to the rear of the building. Those are independent units from the front of the building. So if you have a firefighter in those back units and there is a crisis situation, their only means of escape will be jumping out a 4th-story window. So we will be providing that equipment. It may be tens of thousands of dollars of investment, more or less, to accommodate this building. We're not used to having 3-story residential complexes. So just something to keep in mind in terms of what this will cost the town taxpayers beyond what's going on here. Also, we are now pushing the limit of our current ISO rating and how much our pump capacity is for our vehicles. So we may have to purchase another vehicle with an increased pump capacity. Mike Wilbur commented on this in our fleet evaluation that should the town continue to develop our area, we will have to purchase more apparatus to meet that demand. So just letting the board know that that's something that's kind of tacked on to decisions such as like things like this. But otherwise, the discussions have been positive.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, is there anybody on Zoom who wanted to comment? I see Kim.
People comment.
Yeah, There were some, there were a couple of, written comments we received. Sure. Quick. Yes, Kim Klein's comment I'm showing on the screen. I think. Bambi I think she handed out copies too. Oh, okay. Yeah, and Lori Snyder also,
Yeah, we all have access to that.
you have that. Okay. Um. Alright, so unless there's anyone else who wanted to comment tonight, this will remain open until September 12th. So if there's anything new, yeah, right, you know. Anything else to add on the 12th, you'll have a chance to do that. And then that's the night the board will discuss it after we have what's the information from the planning board and
So we'll vote on that special use permit on the 12th.
on the 12th, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, thank
The
you.
rest of the project we don't vote on.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so then next up tonight, so we're well, announcements, I mean, there's gonna be a memorial service for Bob Beck on the 24th at 2:30 at the pavilion at Dryden Lake Park. So,
Public's invited.
oh, yeah, so everybody's invited, and if our website was actually working well, we'd be able to post it there. But we can't because the service, I don't know, something's weird going on with it, but yeah, that'll be happening on the 24th, and it was in the town newsletter, which did go out, I think just yesterday or the day before. That Cassie put together as always, it looked amazing, so. And. So next up, Rick, I guess if you want to go highway. Yeah.
All right, quick, just short and sweet. All the two roads have been completed on the 284 that you guys approved in January, February, one of those days. We're working on the other road, once we get this stream bank stabilization done. We're gonna try to get that at least bindered in for this winter. If we can top it, we'll top it. I've submitted to checks to get reimbursed for a lot of the paving that we've already done. So we should be getting our money back. It's not a quick process, but it will be back. At some point, we haven't got anything thrown back at us yet, so we should be getting our money back. If you notice, a lot of the striping should be done within the next couple of days. We get the road striped. We're doing a little more mowing at the dam. They have the dam inspection is coming up on the 21st. Anybody wants to see the dam, you can come on up. They're gonna run the camera through the tunnel. It's the large inspection. We've done a lot of shoulders and ditching. And a couple sewer repairs. So I really hope we get this second contract done to get the force main fixed, because we don't have any room left on the pipe for straps. It's running out, it's bad. We've had issues with the air conditioning up here. I talked to Kevin. And he'd like to make sure that everybody understands that he's supposed to email me the failures, and one of the things that I think I mentioned to Ray was this transformer out here left this building on half power. And anybody knows that electric motors, half power is not good. So. Two of them are burned out. They're looking for parts. They took one motor off, put it on another one to make it so it actually. It's cooler in here. If the employees went through a couple rough days. Someone will call me some names, no, just kidding, but, so they're doing the best they can, because they gotta get parts for what's burned up. I'm going to try to reach out to NICEAG, which is very hard to do. To find out what what we can do, if there's something we could, because that's probably gonna be a lot of money to replace all those pumps. And it was definitely their problem, they replaced the tub. And now it's back up and working, and then just last week, I believe, we had another, they'd say a brownout. And that's when the pumps went haywire again, so something's not right here still. So I will follow up on that. And I'm trying to keep Randy loop, so, because he's kind of trying to keep the buttons pushed up here and. And then he blames it on me, but. The other thing I mentioned to Jason earlier tonight, the Jim Shug Trail. We maintain it, the bridges are painted, it's mowed and everything else, but if you go down through there and you look. You got wheel ruts, which there's nothing we can do about it, you got, wheel ruts are gonna happen. We need to start figuring out what we wanna do. I don't know who's on the rail trail committees. But we need to consider what we're gonna do with that.
So how much would it cost to do the repair? Is that the concern and to
Well,
level
yeah,
that out?
we're talking like start to finish, we gotta do a significant amount. And it's kind of all over, so. I mean. The stone dust isn't cheap, as we know, so. Maybe look at some other alternatives. In one of your meetings, see if somebody's got some better ideas.
Mhm.
And
But it needs to
me
be
know.
graded, basically.
what's
It
that?
needs to be graded. With some sort of
Yeah. But
scraped and maybe
but the
restone.
problem is, once you get that turf out there. Then it's gonna be mud,
Mhm.
then it's gonna show complaints. So
Yeah,
it's kind of, that's why I'm gonna let you guys. Deal with it. So, the
If you
other
had a-
thing,
if I just asked, if you had a ballpark figure of what it would.
I know,
cost.
but if you want, I'll get the mileage, we'll figure out, I can give you 3 different options. Of
Mhm.
what you can, and
Yeah.
if somebody else has a better idea, I'm all for it, we just need to. We need to start looking forward on this because it's just gonna continue to get worse.
Yeah, they're just smaller grant programs that we can go after, but I need to know the scope, like,
Okay. All right, I'll get you 3 different proposals that you
Yeah.
can take to the meeting.
that'd be great.
The bathrooms at the lake, we've locked them, we don't open them anymore, we have a couple functions going on. We will have them open for Bob Beck's thing, we have a couple of reservations. In between that need facilities. But until we can come up with a solution, we're not gonna leave them open. It's probably just one individual, but they're making quite the mess out there, and. My guys are refusing to go out there and clean it, it's that bad. They've cleaned it all year and they finally said enough's enough. So,
That's,
like cameras, but you can't, it's, I don't know, somebody's gotta come up with an idea for us. We can put cameras outside to see who's going in, but you don't know who's making the mess. I mean, obviously, somebody goes in there, and the next person goes in and comes running out, well, no, but. It's really, it's not pretty up there. So. We started our second round of mowing shoulders. I spent part of my day picking up signs today. People are advertising for their washing the houses, roofing your houses, siding, selling. They're all putting them in the ditch. That's where we mow, it's our right way. Brought them up, we're over here. Dave Sprout was gonna call the individuals that own the signs, either come get them or we'll go in the dumpster on Monday. But you can't have your signs in the ditches. That's about all I've got.
can we find people for putting signs?
I don't think, we can't go that, I wouldn't go that far. It's just when you're trying to mow the ditches,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you come up on the side, number one, if you don't see it,
Yeah, messes up.
it's gonna mess up the mower, but. Jason will say he didn't put his Jason for sign up, you know?
He would.
Thanks.
But that's all we're saying, it's just, we're trying to, Dave's gonna explain to the guy why he can't, you know, I mean. Soon enough, come election time, everybody's got a zillion signs out, but right now, in the middle of mowing and stuff like that, we can't have it.
But there are set rules concerning
There
campaign
is.
signs.
There are set rules for when even the election signs can go out, which, if we wanted to have a sign patrol. You could write a lot of tickets, there's a lot of things we can write a lot of
We'll
tickets. for,
deputize you for that.
We just, so,
Badges.
other than that, I'll get back to you on the nice side stuff, I'll work with you on that,
Yeah,
trail, and, we are gonna start digging up on Upper Creek Road as of Monday morning, we've had signs up for a week, and we're gonna start replacing the. Banks.
and Mike Lane did thank you last week for putting that light in. Up on.
Yeah, he called me, he
Yeah.
said thank you, I just, yeah, it was an act of Congress to get it done, but yet.
Yep.
And not everybody's happy. You always have something.
While you're here, your name came up at our last rail trail task force meeting with Bob Beck passing. He was a connection point for a lot of the public concerning rail trail concerns, and then he would in turn relay them to you.
Right.
Our thinking is, you know, it'd be better if the people with concerns could just contact your department directly as opposed to going through him.
That would be fine,
And I thought you would be all over that because you really do show a lot of ownership with the trail.
yeah, we'll take care of it.
You deserve that.
Get the, probably send it to either my email or Caitlin's, and we can.
Yeah.
You know, then we can prioritize it, because. There was times that we'd go get a tree off the trail that Bob knew about, but he didn't get to me in time, and. So it'd be better, quicker, easier, that he just came directly to us.
One other question. So we had a lot of trees knocked down on roads in the last 10 days. How much work was that for your department? Yeah,
Significant amount.
thought so. Because there were some big ones even on Malloryville Road. I assume you guys got out there.
A lot of it, what we'll do is, you know, obviously the storms always hit at night. So we'll come out the night before, there's some more, it's not a lot of overtime, there's overtime, we'll get it chopped out, get the road open. Then we'll come back in the morning when it's daylight. Easier to clean up, safer, and, you know, stuff like that, and then we'll come back in and clean them up.
It seems like exactly what happened on Malloryville Road. I
Yeah.
think you guys did a great job.
Yeah, we've gotten a lot of phone calls for. Thanking us for, you know, the driveways and front yards. Close enough, we're gonna grab it, get it out there for them, so.
It's awesome. Thanks.
Cool. Yeah, thank you.
Is that it?
Nobody wants to help me, good. Yeah.
Have a good night.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, I know some other people walked in. Were you here coming for the Freeze Road public hearing?
Yes.
Yeah, if you want to make a comment, why don't you come up and do that? So I know someone else logged on too.
Good evening. My name is Jorge Waiwaka. I'm a resident of Ithaca. I have been residing in Ithaca for 50+ years. For a period of time, I also lived in the town, in the village of Dryden. And I recently have heard that there is a possibility of a set of apartments that are going to be built in the Freeze Road. And along with those apartments, there might be a few houses, one-family houses that will be also built there for possible sale. It is that second aspect that I am interested in. I'm retired. I have the means to buy a small house, especially if it is sold at a affordable price. And I am interested in knowing details about it to follow up.
Great. Okay, I mean, I think that would be something, I guess. It'll be with Ithaca neighborhood housing. If the sort of the project, if it gets approved, it'll be Ithaca Neighborhood Housing. Who would-
So the project is not approved.
Well, yeah, the public hearing continues through next month, because there's some other thing, like planning board still has to do with an environmental review on it, but. Ithaca Neighborhood Housing is who you would contact to about
The
that.
neighboring housing and the offices are in Ithaca?
Yeah, it's down in, I guess Ray could probably, yeah, but if you contact planning department, they can connect
Okay,
you with them, yeah.
Okay,
So,
so,
so it is an affordable housing project, so there will probably be some income limits on the purchasers.
oh, I am.
And so you'll have to qualify, I would
Yes.
imagine. I don't know what the criteria are yet. But, and it's, so much of our housing is priced out of the realm of most young home buyers or any home buyers.
Houses at this moment that are for sale are. Have shot up in prices so much that are hard to get for anyone like me. But probably a discounted kind of price, I would be able to afford.
Yeah, we all want to see this project for the sake of providing more affordable housing. In fact, the town is investing 50,000 in this project ourselves.
I have read
Yeah.
about it. I just would like to make a point for the members of the board to just think about.
Mhm.
There are many retirees like me that are in need of a small apartment or a house. But what there is available, what's being offered by the Ithaca Affordable, whatever, are just apartments for rent, for temporary people. Nothing wrong with it, except that some of them are very temporary, extremely temporary. And that could create problems eventually. So something to think about and to consider,
Thank
all
you.
right?
Yep, thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And then this. All right, just before we move on into the agenda, is there any of the new, the folks from Zoom who came in later? Are they here, they gonna want to comment on the Freeze Road, public hearing, the 5 and 9 Freeze Road, or? I guess not, okay. Ray, I guess you're up planning.
Yeah, so we have the monthly planning update. There are copies out on the table there. Something I want to just call out is that we did, after applying in the spring for the pro housing community, we got our certification a couple weeks ago. So we are now officially a pro housing community. This opens up availability to a lot of funding streams, a lot of grant programs made available by New York State. There's a lot of hard work by our housing committee and staff here, and yep, there's our award on it.
Congratulations. Everybody who did the work.
Yeah, this is just your, I just putting up your report, yeah, just so that any, it'll be on the recording. Any questions from anybody?
I would just want to add a little bit about the Castle Road Solar Project. It's kind of a disappointment. We've invested a lot of time, particularly Ray and some of us, we listened to a lot of discussion, and it looks like that project is off track. It may come back in a smaller form, but the cost of the interconnection will prove to be about 10 times bigger than anyone thought, about $9 million for the interconnection. So it became cost prohibitive. Hard to estimate what the overall project was going to cost, but it was, I would say, about 20 to $30 million, and we have a third of that on the interconnection just became unfeasible. So it's a setback. That property is not good for development because it's an old waste site. we're not gonna get the revenue, we're not gonna get the community bonus, we were gonna get 200,000 as a town for hosting it. Could have gone towards a good cause, like the rail trail. So I'm a little sad about that. It was gonna be an innovative project with, as you may recall, a battery, energy storage component, 2.5 megawatt battery storage component. And, the folks at NYSERDA worked with Tompkins County and Terry Carroll from the sustainability officer for the county. I thought they did really good work, and planning board did a lot of review. We did some review, but it just came out this week that it's not gonna happen, so. That's the way it goes in government sometimes. You invest time, you hope for the best, but you can't make every project.
We learned
Pencil out.
we learned a lot along the way.
Hmm?
We learned a lot along the way, so.
Yeah, that it's expensive to do big projects and then have to travel quite a ways to get to the grid. And that was the problem, and that's frankly why we didn't develop that site earlier. When we were doing solar, 7 years ago. We looked at the site and the cost to get to the interconnection was too much. That said, the state was willing to invest a little bit more to make it ready, build ready, but it just wasn't feasible. Wah, wah. Sorry to be a downer. But I just wanted you all to know.
Alright. Cool, thanks. All right, now on to Chris. Fire coordinator.
So I've sent you a few emails. Anybody have any questions on any of those?
No, we heard about the AFG grant, that was Neptune, we got that,
Correct.
yeah, that was in the Ithaca Voice, I think, also.
Yeah, and that's earmarked for the fire apparatus side of the Plymouth Bank grant.
Yeah. And that's, yeah, it's for different things than the safer grant.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then, I know you've been helping out with the discussion with about the Trident ambulance and how often they're going out of our area. Thank you, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And had a good conversation with one of our county legislators, so we're cooking up an idea
Right.
and it's huge.
And I had 2.5 hour discussion the other night with one of the principals that we met with, and
Yeah,
he and I are still working on things as well. So,
yeah,
Yeah, but it's an intolerable situation. I think once we get the rest of the county realizing the extent of the disparity in payments and the fact that we have an ambulance tax and most towns don't. We might be able to get some leverage.
well, we need to extend some of that leverage to Cortland too. So,
Well, we don't have a Cortland rep.
we do have a Cortland reporter.
Can you guilt your county into doing something?
I mean, you can make,
I just got that look from Debbie. Did you really just say that? And how am I supposed to put that in the minutes?
I missed it, so that's,
Yeah.
don't repeat.
I
whatever.
moved to strike those words from the minutes.
no.
No. Sorry. All right, this is a real problem.
Yeah.
no,
In
I
all seriousness.
agree 100%.
Yeah,
But it looks like, yeah, from your email, I'm sorry I didn't get the chance to really decipher it, but you're looking at a strategic plan for the town.
Correct. Yeah.
That's impressive. Good.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. I mean, I think one reason we are where we are today is that everybody's been kind of doing their own thing.
Mhm.
And really a strategic plan should look at demographics, things like that, so that
Yeah.
there's a town-wide sort of vision of how things are gonna be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever time frame you want to look at. Things are changing.
Yep.
So we need to get ahead of the curve, and figure out in what direction they're changing and be there ready to meet them.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, even things like Mason mentioned with the building height,
Yep.
like that has, because you're gonna run into that over at Ezra Village too.
and if we want to build affordable housing, we're gonna have to, in some cases, build higher.
Yeah.
And that's just reality. But these are equities that we gotta balance, but I think having a housing crisis, means we have to do something about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But quick question.
Sure.
So Jason put out a reminder to the departments of the need to do the SWOT analysis in advance of our budget negotiations. Do you get any feedback from the departments on their progress on that?
A little bit, I mean, got a couple of guys here, my understanding is Verna's working hard on it.
Maybe have 6 or 7 spots for about 7 different aspects of the department, but yeah, they've been working
Okay,
very hard and they're working hard to get everything ready for that on.
Cool,
That's
thank you.
fantastic. I appreciate you setting a good tone on that.
I have heard that there's one individual from the Dryden or Neptune. Board of directors that has raised his hand and said he's gonna start working on it. I've heard nothing from either Edna or Freeman.
So if you get a chance to remind them, and Jason already has, but you know, whatever it takes, because it's
Okay.
kind of an important part of our negotiations.
All right then,
Very cool, thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
And then Mason, Nick, did you guys have anything you wanted to?
Yeah, I was here mostly to answer any questions.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I get, well, just one silly, one, I guess, one that the bailout stuff, that stuff you carry on the trucks, or is that is that left at the building?
There's different systems, but the ones we're looking at are actually part of your equipment, so it's like a belt.
Belt, oh, okay.
And so there's different versions of it. I've been in conversations with some of the folks in those companies who are also looking at that. We're talking about maybe bringing together for a grant provision for that. We may have to, depending on how to improve that, we may have to get a full grant approved, but
Yeah,
there are, I think, in Chris has talked about this in previous meetings, there's pros and cons. We're happy to have avoided meeting them in the past, because training with them is actually quite dangerous. If not done correctly.
Right.
That's an extra layer of training and we do annually and more paperwork. But I'd rather do that than do the firefighter straight up.
yeah. Yep. Okay.
And I should also mention too that, in our discussion, it sounds like IHS is willing to install stand pipes in the building. It's not required by the building.
Yeah.
Structure, but we made our lives, easier. And we're going to safety to that. So
Oh, good.
I don't think that's seen any writing yet, but I think they.
Okay. Yeah, because if it's not in, I mean, things that aren't in writing that even, you know, David mentioned, they go into the. Be built, written into the permit requirements. Yeah,
Do you really, when you think of this, proposed structure, I guess a 4-story building, if you count the basement level, I guess it's exposed on the back side of it. It's, I guess, you know, looking at it, it's more like a 3-story building.
It
Right.
is, yes,
Is it-
although functionally, it's 4-story. The problem is that, you know, our ladders only go up for the 3rd story. So again, the front of the building is fine, it's the back of the building, it's the 4-story. Even if we had a ladder that we drop off there. So
Yeah, right.
nowhere to safely put up either a ladder or a ladder. We just wear that. Stand pipes are more just for the length of them. So on average, our hose lengths are about 200 feet. I've done some about calculations, and that just about covers going up the stairwell and about halfway down the hallway. So it doesn't include going from the truck to the building and then from the hallway to the. So that would require extra time for us to disconnect hoses, reconnect it. It adds on to our response. As if we stand pipes, we can just carry a pre-made pack up to the 3rd floor, install it, fill water to it, and it takes per month.
Could they not do the access driveway in the back because of spacing or?
It's a space issue, so it's a little bit too close, but I think there's also an integrity issue, so I think that a loose fill would probably not be enough for just like an integral lot. So we have this discussions of actually making even the little side on the drawing, show you the side driveway that's more for traffic removal, even wider, so that the aerial, the whole side of the building can extend, but it's not strong enough.
But certainly there, in Ithaca, there are 3, 4-story apartment buildings that you don't have access in the rear to.
Correct.
So I just think, and what I'm hearing is. Like, for some reason, this structure isn't meeting a standard, but that's,
No, it is, so
Okay.
it is meeting code, so
Okay.
code is only the aerial of access to one side. This was more about what makes me comfortable knowing that we're
Okay.
operating off of one side.
Mhm.
But that's the discussion we had, when they're reading the code requirement and
sure,
in talking with some folks down in Ithaca, like you said, it's not unusual.
But they may have more equipment than we have, or is that part of the issue?
They do have bailout tax, because they do experience those environments.
Okay.
This is more about early conversations that we were having, so I had not realized that before, because I had not seen side views of the building
Yeah.
until recently. And in conversations with the planning board chair. Chair of those boards first, we just took a couple of weeks to figure out exactly how the building would lay out, what potential solutions there were, but I'm satisfied that. There's no easy solution, that makes sense there, and I think that they're reading code, so that's. May not be what we didn't want, but we can work with this.
we need housing.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and Nick, didn't you graduate? Like. That's like. It's like, oh, glad you're still here. So,
We actually want him to fail in his defense.
I know,
Stick around, so
yeah, so you're gonna keep it here.
communication with your committee.
Right, I noticed on a picture of you with your like gown and everything, I'm like. Wait a minute. Okay.
We have Chris had asked, we had our ISO evaluation yesterday,
Uh-huh.
insurance. For we get that. We don't have any data back, it's gonna be a while before they're back, but it sounded positive.
Yeah.
Right.
Should be okay, cool, thank you.
And then the ISO rating would go down with the new building if we didn't have the right equipment.
So it should, so we're on the cusp, so the way that I had interpreted the ISO rating system, not to be wrong, is that you're allowed to have multiple of 3-story buildings. And like square footage building, large square footage buildings in your district. Before pushing you to the next category of home requirements. But with the Knickerbocker Bed Factory in operation and nice, we are approaching that limit. And so planning for the future, we are already planning on looking at apparatus and hopefully satisfied based on my goal of more of an hour. So that's part of the plan. Purchasing.
Got it. Thanks.
You're keeping an eye on the future. A ladder truck, may be necessary if we keep building 3-story ladder trucks. I don't really not have one, but that's a good question for down the road.
Okay. Great, thanks. Great. The next up would be Dave Makar or Trident Fiber.
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Share my screen. I have the report. I sent it out yesterday by email, so you should have a copy of it. Let's see. So this is this report for today, August, but it's basically what we did through the end of July. I'll just go through a couple of slides. You have the entire deck that's available to you. So construction update continues to be very productive throughout the village of Dryden and the village of Freeville, as well as in the Yellow Barn, Ferguson Road neighborhoods. There are a few roads that we didn't get to. We built the ring, the loop around town through that neighborhood. So we're hitting some of those side roads this month. I believe by the end of September, we can project that we'll have almost, or if not all of the village of Dryden and all of the village of Freeville in the green zone, ready to go. And then soon after that, those neighborhoods on Yellow Barn, Ferguson, and then moving into Etna following that. So massive expansion coming between now and about a month from now at the end of the summer, or at the end of September. Right now, we are able to serve 565 parcels, which is just under 10% of all parcels in town. And our counting shows we're about 748 households, which is just over 12% of the households in town now have access. As of the first of the month of August, we're at 66, which was 14 new accounts in the month of July. It's our biggest month so far. And we are going into August with 33 planned, 33 requests in July coming to August to schedule them. We should be adding 27 of them, which will give us right about 100 by the 1st of September. So looking forward to checking in about 4 weeks and being into triple digits for counts. That would be 18% of eligible parcels having service and 13% of households. So a pretty good starting point for a brand new service to get, nearly 20% take rate for the parcels, 100 out of the 600. Also estimating originally that we'd be at 100 by the end of the summer. We're still looking at beating that by end of the summer date, and then aiming next for 200 by the end of the year, and at least 500 by the end of 2025. The biggest factor there is in the construction. The more that we can build, the more that we can offer, and the more people can sign up. Any questions on this quick executive summary look at the month of July?
I do real quick. How many, so there's like 7,000 parcels throughout the town currently? Like approximately?
There's about 6,100 or so.
How many of those currently have some type of internet access, like that they're actually purchasing from another provider or with Dryden Fiber?
I believe everyone could, based on using anything from DSL to dial up to satellite.
Okay.
So there is something. FCC has recorded about 250 of those locations as either underserved or unserved. Underserved is slower than 25 meg. Unserved is less than 10 meg. Our offering is 400, so our offering is 16 times faster than the underserved speeds.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Anybody else?
Great
I
news.
can go ahead. Do a quick update on the municipal infrastructure program grant. As we noted in June and then in July, we were awarded an $8.9 million grant to expand to all underserved and unserved locations in the town of Dryden, which that 250 number that I mentioned will not only be able to reach those, but any household we pass or any parcels we pass on the way to reaching those unserved and underserved, they'll also be able to have access. Now that grant we believe was successful because we are combining it with providing service in the town of Caroline and all of their unserved and underserved parcels and households. It's a 2,673 total location grant. And as I said, it's 8.9 million from the state and about $1 million of matching funds from local. Coming up right now, some of the things we're talking about with the state, finishing phase 3 poll applications. This is the first big step, is getting the applications in on the telephone poles, although a better name would be electric poles since they're mostly owned by NYSEG, to be able to put our fiber on aerial on all these telephone poles across the southern half of Dryden and into all of Caroline. Those poll applications are estimated to take 10 months, which means if they go in now, we should hear back from them with approvals sometime in June of 2025. Construction will then take about 90 days to begin and start to turn the service on, which means sometime around September 1st of 2025, we'll be able to start to provide service in the town of Caroline. We'll be a little bit ahead of that in Dryden, as we already had the permits started in phase 1 and phase 2. This phase 3 poll applications is for the Caroline piece. This is important for the town because adding those 1,200 homes in the town of Caroline makes the entire Dryden fiber project more sustainable. Just gives us a much bigger pool to call on the 6,200 or 6,100 parcels in Dryden, plus another 1,200 parcels in Caroline, of which many of them are unserved or underserved, which means they're going to move toward using our platform, which is going to help us to have more people on the platform. A few other items. tracking the locations that are now available and subscribed. And then each week, as we talk to the state, we talk about other actions and decisions we're working through. Some accomplishments so far in this grant project: survey of the Caroline POP. That's where we will have the switching station for people who are online in the town of Caroline, as well as development of the phase 2 routes, where we're going to actually bring the pathway from our existing network down to those unserved and underserved parts of Dryden. Finally, the big win is we believe that 4 of those 2,673 granted locations are now live with Dryden Fiber. They were covered in the grant, even though we had already done most of the work. We just hadn't done the installations for those because they hadn't been requested yet. And these are not just 4 for Dryden Fiber in the town of Dryden. These are the first 4 in the entire state of New York where the installation is covered by the municipal infrastructure program. All of New York State, 19 million people, huge projects doing broadband statewide at the county level, at the state level, at the local level. And ours is the first one to actually have customers using the platform with installation funds being paid for by this grant. Yeah, you can clap. Thanks.
Number 1.
Once again, Dryden is leading the way. Just a map from the project, just as a highlight. The blue on the town of Dryden, the ring, which is the shape that goes in a circle around the middle of Dryden, is the connected ring for our existing service. The blue lines north into West Dryden, north of Freeville and east of Freeville, are where we already have permits and we're starting to build out there. And then the red is part of the proposed network from the MIP grant. Every one of those purple dots is a service location we're reaching with this grant. Any questions on the MIP project update? It's a huge project, lots of new meetings on our calendars, and so far, well worth it to get the push, to get the timeline, the deadline. Remember, the deadline for this is December 31st of 2026. So it was a 30-month project. Now we're down to about 28 and a half months left. Time is moving really fast. We'll continue to make updates and provide updates to the board each month as we go forward.
Yep.
Finally, some other news I want to share from our public broadband committee meeting. The top line, the key part of this chart is on the 4th column. It has our customer count. As of today, or as of August 1st, we're at 66 customers, with a projection to be at 100 customers by the end of this month or by September 1st. When we go down and look at column 4, the 4th column over the customer column, to that 262, that is the break-even number of customers for our monthly expenses. Once we hit that number, the monthly expense will be covered by the income, and then any money after that will go toward paying for all the construction costs to build the network. Over time, in the next hopefully 60 to 90 days, we'll put together an updated budget. So we'll not just have the break-even count of customers, which we think this is a pretty good estimate. We'll also have the break-even timeline with the New York State funding to give an idea of when we'll break even as an entity based on the revenue from the customers. We're also projecting to be at about 250 customers or so by the end of Q1. So a little more than 8 months from now, we should be at break even on the monthly expenses.
So Dave, these quadrants in this graph that you're showing us right now, are they quarters or they're months? What are they?
The key piece is just the customer count. Just we're at 66 now, going up by 50 each month until we get that 262. That's kind of the break even, and then going up from there. Just to show you about where we expect to be.
Yeah, but he said in 8 months, we
Yeah.
should get to 262.
Right.
Yeah, we believe we'll be at about 200 by the end of the year and around 260 by the end of Q1.
Mhm. And this could vary if some of these customers are residential versus business. What level of
Yeah, right now, our income per customer is $56.29. So I set this at $56. That's across both residential and commercial accounts. Our residential lowest tier right now is $45, which is the most popular tier. But because of the number of people who have purchased higher dollar amount tiers more bandwidth, as well as the business tiers. The average is a little bit higher than 45. So we're on our way to break even on the monthly expenses, and then we'll move on to paying down the debt of the construction.
Nice. Well, that's great.
Any questions?
I think so.
Anybody else?
Did you talk to any state officials this week, Dave, about this project?
I did have a chance to meet the Lieutenant Governor Delgado on Tuesday about the project, also to thank him for the state funding, as well as seeing State Senator Leo Webb and State Assembly Person Kellis, who is not just a supporter of the project, but also a client, because she lives here in town of Dryden.
So the lieutenant governor's question was, what's the speed? How much? And then it's like, wow, you know, would you like to subscribe? I said, maybe.
Nice.
Very nice.
Thanks, Dan.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
County briefing. Nope. We had Mike Layton here last week, so. Sorry, so I'm gonna move up to the different resolutions. So. Right, so the first one is for the audit approval. We had the report last week. Everybody had a week to review it. Are there were, I guess. So I'm gonna move this resolution to approve also accept the audited financial report.
I'll second.
Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
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 Yes, all right, thank you. And then there is also a resolution to approve the payment outside the abstract. It's for the work done on the highway department building, new windows and siding. And so I just showed the voucher, and then this is the resolution is town award a contract to Tom Bobdell for improvements to the highway building, May 2024. Contract requires first payment when the materials are ready and work is ready to start. Therefore be it resolved, board approves payment of 58,000 outside of abstract 8.
Is that the weatherization of the
Yeah,
office? Okay.
Yeah.
So we pay for that and then we get reimbursed?
Yep.
later? Okay, got it. I'll move the motion, sorry.
Second.
Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
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 yes. Okay. And Dan, you said the planning, but the resolution for the planning board, is that ready?
He said
Yeah,
it.
it's
He
ready
said
to
it.
go. It
Okay.
got circulated and Cassie posted it.
All right.
It's pretty straightforward.
Jason.
All right, so let me share. Okay, so this is if you wanna. This is a resolution to charge the planning board with. Develop, I guess, reviewing new provisions concerning crypto mining and data processing facilities.
Yeah, it shows that we're not just a knee-jerk reaction to one project. We have a broader context that we need to review this type of industry within. And this builds off conversations we had previously as a board. And had some input from our town attorney. And ran this by Tony Solano, our planning board chair. And they're all on board, so I think our gut feeling about doing this was correct. This will allow us to be more informed and just put it out there why we have a moratorium in place.
Okay, so I'll move that.
Second,
Councilperson Barnes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
yes,
Yes. Okay, and then next up, so Ray, we don't have the actual easements yet, though.
We do not, they're still in drafts, and we're expecting that the town attorney and village attorney will be able to finalize this by the end of the month, so we can act on it in September.
Okay, so we can set the public hearing, but we have to have the.
They'll have
We have
to-
everything time to, I guess, publish.
Yep.
Yeah,
So really, the first week of September, I'll be putting out a notice of hearing and make sure that we have a copy of the easements then.
okay, so just set that public hearing for September 19th. At 6:05 PM. Assuming we have everything we need. And then, the next thing will be the Morris Road Solar Project.
We have a couple of representatives from River Solar here.
Okay, so yeah, they can, I guess, you just introduce the project and then we'll set the public hearing.
So Jason, if you could make Matthew McNeely a co-host so you can share a screen.
Yep.
This project has been reviewed by the planning board for the last few months, and now it's coming forward with their recommendation to the town board. There's a lot of concerns expressed during that process. The DRS team responded with great solutions, so I think we're at a good point with that project to go forward with a public hearing next month.
So sorry to hear about the other solar project. Happy to propose another project here that I think would be a great benefit to the town. My name is Matt Mahaley. I'm here with Delaware River Solar. I'm also here with our civil engineer, Usman Chaudhry from PW Grosser. We're here to discuss the Morris Road Solar Project, answer any quick questions you guys may have. We're also here to, as mentioned, schedule a public hearing if the board's so comfortable in the September agenda, and also initiate the secret process. We were in front of the planning board for a couple of meetings, and we had some very productive site plan iterations. We took into account the recommendations. In our initial application, the site plan was proposing a new circuit build to come down from Morris Road to interconnect our facility. Their concern here was the amount of tree clearing and easements needed for NYSEG to come down with that new circuit. So we did some digging and we ended up changing the point of interconnection to utilize existing infrastructure off of West Malloryville Road, where poles already exist. And the amount of tree clearing would be practically non-existent because it's coming down fields. This would require NYSEG to upgrade this single phase line to a 3-phase feeder to interconnect our project. I'm sure you guys are familiar, but this project is a community solar project. Obviously, NYSEG customers would be able to subscribe to the project and receive a monetary discount, usually in the form of 5 to 10%. Kind of talking about the project specifics. So it is located off of Morris Road. The project size is 5 megawatts. The panels are single axis tracking panels, so they'll track the sun from east to west to maximize the energy production. The fenced area is roughly 27 acres. There is no battery storage being proposed at this site. We do have some DEC regulated wetlands that are located on the project site, but we have no wetland impacts at all. We are in the process of formulating a wetland delineation with the DEC. So they will be scheduled in the near future to come out and validate the actual extent of the wetlands. But we take into account the wetlands as they sit there now, and we avoid any impact to them. Yeah, so that's a brief overview of the project. Happy to answer any questions.
well, I'm excited about this project. This is my part of town, so I'm on that road quite a bit. I appreciate how you guys have positioned it, so it's not highly visible. Either to people on the road or to the neighbors. I think you guys have really went out of your way on that, even though it looks like it might be visible on this map. It's really not, according to yours. Line of sight analysis. I thought that was really well done. I think you guys have been very forthcoming to the planning board, so just want to put that out there. And then maybe just remind everyone that this will have a pilot agreement right? But
Yeah,
county, and so the town will actually get yearly revenue from this project.
Yep.
Not a ton, but somewhere around what, 6,000, 7,000? Is that probably about 30,000 overall being returned would be my back of the envelope guess, and then school districts get about 80% of that. And the
Yeah.
county gets its slice, about 12%, and we wind up with 8% of that. 8% of 30,000, quick.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's great. And if you want to develop on Caswell, you know, we can work with you. A lot of research on that.
yeah.
Just got an interconnection to deal with.
I don't know. Anybody have any questions?
Someone's gonna ask me if you're gonna mow it with goats.
No, we're not proposing, those, we would, you know, have a O and M contractor, use a brush hog or trimming methods to maintain the vegetation within the project area.
Mhm.
And another request of the planning board was to utilize a local landscaper for the vegetative screening, so we are in, you know, we're working to make that, you know, come to fruition.
Yeah, because I have the other projects, I think they used people who were out of the area. And some of the trees they chose didn't fare so well, so we kind of want to avoid that.
Screening.
Yeah, because some of the things didn't grow at all and. Some
So
of them,
just remind me though, your access to the Peruville line for your connection point will go up Morris Road, or will that go up Mallory?
It's gonna go up West Malloryville Road. It was
Okay.
originally proposed
I thought
coming
so.
down, well, actually, it's gonna come down West Malloryville Road and then cut across, to the west there. Onto Morris Road and then interconnect to our facility.
Yeah, I think there's an existing pole right here, you see the pointer.
Yeah,
And
Yeah, you can follow the red line.
They have a couple poles lying, you know, right in the access road and then.
Right, that makes sense.
yeah.
Originally, it was coming down the other side, down Morris Road. There's
Mhm.
no existing poles there, so it would require a whole new circuit build. And as mentioned, tree clearing, that was something that the planning board was concerned with. So we revised the point of interconnection.
Yeah, it was great that you could do that. Okay.
So when will the project be completed online?
I mean, depending on how the permitting approvals go, I would say probably Q2 of Q2 of 2025, possibly, maybe Q3, depending.
And if people want to participate in this community solar project, how would they do that?
I'm not entirely certain if it would have to be operational. I could definitely find out. We do have a sister company called Meadow that does subscriber acquisition.
Okay.
And they would be proposed to do the subscriber acquisition for this project. I'm just not certain if they could. I think they might have to wait for the project to come online, but I would have to double check to subscribe to this particular project.
So there will be advertising that occurs sometime next
Yeah.
year to sign up for this community solar project.
Yes.
Great.
Great, well, we'll just have the public hearing then, I mean, it'll be September 19th, 6:15.
And Jason, the second action is also just to declare our intent to be lead agency for seeker.
Okay, yeah, no, so there's, should be the.
I don't have any draft resolution there. It's just.
Okay, well, then I'll just, move that we declare ourselves lead agency for seeker.
Second.
That's the person who already voted.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, and then next we just run through the advisory board updates. Leo, we go first.
Yeah, I don't have the minutes, you know, but I'll have it soon. Usually.
what I just wanna mention is the visit by Lenny Skrill from Housing and Community Renewal. He is the Associate Commissioner for this agency. And he has been very important when it comes to sources for funding associated with affordable housing. So the visit covered mostly the different sites that are sort of planned for housing development. And so we started at Freeze Road and went to the North Street development, now. And we also showed the wing housing, downtown. And then we only had about an hour or so for this visit before Lenny had to come back to the Ithaca for Remote having the conference center of Remote County. So basically you have about 10-15 minutes here to sit down and have a quick lunch with him and have Mayor Murphy and Rocco Lucente to have a little conversation with him. It was mostly his take on potential other sources for funding for Rocco Lucente's project. So that's what it was all about.
Great. Did he talk about any new programs that we might be able to qualify for?
He mentioned a bunch of them. I hope that we
Right.
took good notes and then we'll put it together for our conversation.
Okay,
Nice.
cool, thanks.
That's
Alright. Oh, spring, yeah.
So Conservation Board, we've had our meeting on July 30th. Just highlights from that meeting are that, it was again expressed a desire that the rail trail be named after Bob. Since then, there's news that Craig Shutt will be the rep liaison from the CB to the DRYC effort, so.
Mhm.
In order to help pass that on. There was a lot of discussion from a local resident around interest in drying out some wetlands that have been causing some real issues for them and really coming to the board for their thoughts and feedback. Nothing to really bring back to the board about that, but I can certainly share what those discussions were if people are interested.
Is that the one that's near like off Jim Shug Trail?
It is off Johnson Road, so
Oh, maybe it's a different one.
different area.
Oh.
And then there was a report out from the presentation that was seen on winter salt use and environmental impacts, and a lot of discussion is apparently it's much more impactful for parking lots than for roadways. So I share that because that may be something for us to think about when we think about our zoning.
Okay. So what was the thing on Johnson Road?
So there's wetlands back there that used to be farmland.
Is that where the trail is, the rail, like where the rail bed is? Cause it's on Mark.
I've got screenshots of the maps that they brought. It's not necessarily just there. There were other issues right around that, but it's that there is infiltrating the church over there in their basement, and then it's also affecting some of the property owners and their houses. And so there was varying feedback from different members of the conservation board around approaches. What I brought forward was that we need to, if the conservation board is to advise our board, that I really want to see consistency, because we've certainly had frustration from others about saying, hey, this used to be farmland, or this used to be fairgrounds. Why do we have to treat this as, so we need to be consistent in those approaches and in alignment with the DEC. And so I can't say there was anything actionable to come out of that discussion, but it was a good discussion and may bring us towards additional ones in the future.
We didn't have a meeting in between my last update and tonight because we changed our meetings to the third Tuesday of the month.
Oh.
So we have a meeting next week.
Brings us to planning. Well, we had a long discussion about the Breeze Road development. You know, I think that a lot of the documentation's on the planning department website about this project. There will be more information presented next week concerning the planning board's role in site plan review. I remain pretty excited about this project. I think it's tasteful. I think it's proportional. I think it's badly needed. So, anytime you do something like this, you're gonna get a lot of comments and I expect we'll get a lot more. I just think we gotta keep our eye on the overall goal and that's more affordable housing. And we've got an entity willing to do it. We're gonna have to put some skin in the game as well and we should all think about, you know, the reasonable pilot requests that INHS has made. We're already putting 50,000 into this project, but you know, do we wanna dial back what we get in revenue in terms of, you know, the additional services we have to provide, what that means for fire, you know, where does that money come from? So I have mixed feelings about that, you know, not having this thing on the tax rolls. Because everyone has to have skin in the game, not to use that again, but you know, taxes are part of living in the dry town. So just, I think we should all put some thought into that, what we're willing to give up in terms of revenue for the town to provide this housing. Maybe it is the right thing to do. Sure, what else to say about that?
A couple of people mentioned that INHS doesn't keep all the residences like tidy and stuff. Is there any change to that?
That's a old canard, you know, something that there wasn't a case, and I think a story that was written in 2018 that has been referenced and some of the letters to us, but they're doing an even bigger project in Ulysses. And I believe it might even be completed by now, and it was done well, and it had a pilot. So we have to look at what went over there. If we have questions, maybe check in with our counterparts in the town of Ulysses, and or maybe it's in the village of Trumansburg. I'm not sure which jurisdiction that's in, but I think that would be more of a reference point than something that happened a few years ago.
Sure.
6 years ago. INHS is a pretty mighty little agency, and they've got a lot of projects going on. If there was one that, you know, had an incident a few years ago, that's probably not a huge surprise. It's, you know, what's their overall record?
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, at some point, I mean, we've talked about looking at the Ulysses project as a model and see how that went. And they've got projects outside of Tompkins County, of course. I mean,
Right.
They're known as INHS, but they're doing stuff in Watkins Glen,
Yeah.
Montour Falls, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we'd have to understand more about the tax question, especially since there's a lot of people in the community who probably would qualify for that housing and do pay the taxes. So I think that's an important thing for us to talk through.
Yeah, so they on the planning department page, you'll see a grid on what this would bring in versus full taxation. And I think if I remember right, full taxation is around 90,000 a year, and this partial plan they're proposing is 30,000.
Okay.
And right now we're getting 15. With nothing there, and a real eyesore in the heart of one of our most important hamlets.
Oh, yeah.
They're all important. They're all tied at first.
Yeah, I think that the pilot only applies to the town, county and school, but not, let's say, the water, sewer or other special districts. So,
Of course, right.
so I'm not sure what fire, but I'll have to double check that one, but I know it doesn't apply to the water. And for the water sewer side, with all the work that's going on, there is gonna be
There's
an assessment again
Okay.
because of all the upgrades going on there. So,
Yeah,
that once that the water sewer projects are completed. That's when that's gonna kick in, so they will be contributing to that.
And it'll continue as long as there's debt,
Right,
as long as we.
right.
And the lighting concerns is something that will get looked at
It looks like they
in the
lowered them.
studies.
They have
It looks like
lowered
they
it,
lowered it
yeah.
already.
As I understand, they lower the lights, right? If high
Yeah.
the lights.
They're looking at a new lighting
Yeah.
plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yes, but the lighting district I'm talking about, it's not like their own, it's the ones that are along the streets.
Right, but then.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
We should save that parcel as only.
I think there's a light at the. I think there's street lights right around there, so it should be.
At that intersection, yeah.
Yeah, so it should be, because I think they go up to. The edge of the property. Yeah,
So quickly about the Rail Trail Task Force, we continue our efforts to reorganize the group in light of Beck passing away. We had another meeting yesterday. We formed a project management team that really looks over the direction of the board and makes sure that our committee structure is going to function. So we're going to rely much more on committees, and if you're on the if you're going to be appointed to the task force, you need to be willing to do work on a subcommittee. Everyone will be assigned. And we're gonna start a stronger recruiting effort with the notices on the kiosk along the trail to just remind users, you like this, get involved. You know, we
Yeah.
need your help. This community-driven project wouldn't be where it is without that. And to get to where we're gonna go, we need more assistance. And at some point, maybe at the next town board meeting, I'll have a resolution about revising the authorizing reso that I drafted back in 2016. Anyway, we need to reallocate the membership to reflect this new structure. Maybe not demand that somebody from each one of our advisory committees serves on the task force, because that's taxing for our existing volunteers. I think the committees will understand that. If they want to be on two committees, they can, but we will not require it. So. There'll be a resolution that I present just to expand the committee and to direct the membership a little better.
And then for ag committee, they canceled last night's meeting, so. Didn't have that, I'll just jump to DRYC real quick. We got 4 responses to the RFP, so they're gonna.
Yeah.
They've sent, Leslie's sending it out, or I think she already sent it out to the group. They're gonna, I think, interview at least 2 of them, and she's gonna schedule those, like Leo said, I guess, or, sorry, Spring said, Craig Scott's gonna be the conservation board. Or I think, I don't know, who's gonna be from housing?
Okay,
Craig
Anderson.
Anderson, yeah.
we have 2 breaks.
And then, yeah, so they're the group that handles the interview. I told them to schedule it. If I can make one, I'll make it. I just, depending on when they get scheduled, I could be buried in trial work again, so I don't know. It's like a busy September coming up.
Do you know the names of the groups? You don't have the name.
No, I didn't look at the email yet. I mean, I saw that it came through. I just didn't look at.
I looked at their projects and some of them were local, like really local.
Yeah. And sorry, that's the big news there. They meet next week. So I should be able to go to that meeting. And then for broadband, we have Dave tell.
Yeah.
I don't think you don't need to report on that.
Yeah. I think we're really fortunate to have Dave doing this though. I mean, he's stepped in like we asked and really. At the right time, right before the MIP application was needed to be put together, and just I've already talked with Caroline today about there. So we both towns applied for another grant with them with the Connect All to pay administrative costs. So we've already asked Caroline to start putting in their budget money to contribute towards those costs, which include Dave's salary and everything, and also other staff time, like what Amanda is you know, this is good, because there's looking to be a need to have at least somebody part-time to help out as the number of customers grows.
Right.
So we're gonna build that into the budget, and those grants would help towards that. And then I've also talked to Caroline about putting money aside for the share in the legal expenses and with, you know, Philip Lytle, and also make sure they have some set aside for their own town attorney to possibly have to do easement work. If there's any areas in Caroline that have to have easements drawn up for cable to go underground so that they don't run into the same hiccups we did early on. So they're, you know, going to do that. So they're, you know, I
You're
guess.
you can write up a little booklet on how to,
And that, it's not to
one of
do.
those dummies books. for,
Yeah.
like, how to install.
Well, I mean, yeah, being first is, we're, you know, like,
Yeah.
we're building the ship as we're sailing, as you know.
Try to buy.
So I think you said that, airplane as we're flying, or whatever it is, but,
Well, Jason, you could mention that you're speaking at the APA conference this fall.
yeah,
David and you, and so there is a kit going out there, how
Oh,
to
nice.
start municipal broadband.
Wait a minute. I
Yeah.
got out of that.
yeah,
You didn't listen.
yeah. So, yeah, that's in October, right?
October 9
Yeah.
to 12, 9 to 11, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, so that'll be happening too down in the new conference center.
I had a good conversation with both Senator Webb and Assemblywoman Kellis's office this week about legislation we need, and I think they're gonna pass another law to benefit this project, but projects throughout the state eventually, but we need something done to allow us access into multifamily housing or just basically apartments, because right now we have to get permission from landlords in writing as opposed to what the private ISPs do.
Right.
And it's making our process very arduous.
True.
Yeah, I mean, those things like the industry likes to complain about municipal broadband being, very unfair. And the thing is, they're already, they have so many advantages in existing law that we don't. That, the fact that, but people still want what we're doing, and
Maybe we can get the billboard, we can advertise on it.
yeah.
Oh, they're not.
Well, I actually, some industry group wanted us to put on our town website, like all the ISPs that are offered, and they didn't even mention us in their list of. And I'm just like, yeah, whatever, we're not doing it.
But so many people don't even have a choice,
Yeah.
Right.
or it's not. Mhm.
And the thing is, like, for the underserved, unserved is a big deal, but the other big deal, and that is why the program needs to succeed statewide, is that there is no competition in so many places. And,
Yeah.
they've had monopoly status for 30+ years, and I'll say it again, they've completely failed every community they've been in. Period.
I can't wait until it goes to me.
I'm long like last. I mean, Bambi, I'm not kidding. It's the way the
It's
math
by the end of the
works,
year.
but it'll get there.
I'll keep you.
At least you have broadband.
Yeah, I do. Well, when it's not raining.
I don't have that.
I don't.
Yeah, these two, yeah, they don't. You'll get it.
I'm gonna have it,
Sooner.
surprise that.
You're gonna get it sooner because you're into the MIP area.
Bring it up every time they use it.
So I mean, that's all I had. And then, the.
Alright.
Yeah. That's all I got for tonight.
That's plenty.
Cool. All right.
Good job.
To adjourn. No, it's because I don't see anybody. Unless there's somebody online who really wants, who's got citizens privilege on it, but I only see one person. It's Marie or Fred, and I don't know, David.
David's a
No.
reporter.
Yep. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Cameras are off. We can see what we really think.